think you guys are going to have to watch The Replacements again. I think that's what's going to have to happen. Welcome to amorephillyunion, the podcast where it's important to remember that no matter how bad it gets, it's still just soccer. We're your hosts. I'm C.
I'm E.
And I'm Paul.
Woo!
Trying to lift the mood there, Paul.
Trying to bring the energy a little bit. I actually got a nap today, so I feel like I might need to be the one carrying a little bit because it's a little later than normal for our recordings. Well, not necessarily our recordings, but
so I think I've already lost a bet, maybe, and not a bet,
energy.
but made a statement that was incorrect in that I was chatting with some of our Unionverse friends and listeners today, and I said to prepare for Negadelphia, Paul.
Oh, I'm going to bring the Negadelphia. Don't get me wrong. I'm just going to do it with some pep.
All right. Okay.
I'm curious to see where this goes.
Herky pestilence. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
all right. Let's go.
Let's go. All right. Before we fully spiral out of control.
The union.
Yeah.
Let's okay. All right. Okay.
I think we should start
with this.
We got to have a score, like how many,
asides can we make?
Union jabs can we get into this podcast, this episode?
Okay. Yeah. Well, like I said before we completely spiral, help us help the U. We are cruising towards our 3,000 download goal.
Yeah, it's coming along fast.
So, E, if you want to take this piece.
Yeah, real quick. So we're a little over 2,600 downloads. It was a pretty
proving that misery loves company.
Tell your friends. Last week was a pretty good week. Extra special thanks to Gabe over at We the Union. Sharing a little bit of love back and forth and getting the word out there. So we had a nice, pretty, healthy week of downloads. So thanks everyone for checking us out. Hopefully you're coming back for a second, third, fourth helping maybe. Also, our international brand has continued to grow as we welcome our first download listeners from Austria. So,
welcome.
Austria.
Scott. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And aside from downloading, if you want to do something really good too and want to donate a little extra something to the Philadelphia Union Foundation, you can do that. Just go to www.philadelphiaunionfoundation.org, click on that donate button and tell them that Amorephilly Union sent you. And thank you.
Just out of curiosity, in the stats at all, could you tell if anybody downloaded last season's Christmas special last week?
Yes, I could see there was one extra download. So
all right. I don't know if that was just Gabe or if someone else took the advice as well.
I mean, the timing and singularity of the download would imply that it was Gabe, but even if it wasn't, thanks for downloading and
Merry Christmas.
Because why not? It's almost July, so.
Like Elvis says, why can't every day be like Christmas?
That's right.
No, that's definitely not true for the Union. That's one for me.
All right.
I guess next week would be 6 months from Christmas, so
it's half Christmas next week.
That's right.
Don't. I'm already tired.
Or is it anti-Christmas?
Anti-Christmas, yeah. I don't know. I'm Paul. I'm embracing this the negative energy. It's but turn it around. Yeah, what's that?
The upbeat negative energy.
Yeah, right. We got to think of a name for it. It's kind of like that.
It's the dark side, but sparkly.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's the sparkly dark. It's darkly. It's darkle. Sparkly.
The anti-sparkle.
Yeah. It's like making jokes as the plane's crashing down. It's like, what are you going to do? Right?
It's like rain.
There it is.
That's when you throw your hands in the air and go.
I think that's what we're doing. We are throwing our hands in the air because we just
don't care. Absolutely.
At least not right now. It's just too fresh, all of it.
Whoa. I guess we should talk about why we are in such a mood. And
to everybody in the Unionverse, we are with you guys. It's been a crappy week. So, but
it has. It absolutely has.
Yeah, lead the charge here, Christy.
Ripping that Band-Aid right off.
It's more like a.
I don't know that I would call it a Band-Aid at this point.
We're like the Black Knight and Holy Grail. You know, it's just like we're hopping around on one leg at this point.
I think we're on the ground. Let's call it a draw.
No, actually, if you think about it, Miami was hopping around on one leg and they still won.
Yeah, right.
So there's that. But yeah, so Union Miami, Messi-less Miami, Paul,
Miami
as you
neat.
called it, Miami neat.
Miami neat.
So no Messi, no
Suarez.
still had Busquets and E's buddy Jordi Alba. But you know, ended up going not one, but two men down.
Two red
men down. When have you seen that last?
I mean, last time I saw like that, they were playing like FIFA. Like we were just deliberately trying to get one team down to as few as men as possible.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead, Kirsty.
But yeah, so and the Union snatches defeat from the jaws of victory with a 2-1 loss.
Yeah.
Look, it's like what they say, right? When a game has, you know, turns in a way and the team you want loses, and you can just kind of surgically just remove part of the game. If we could just remove the last 87 minutes of the game, it was a perfect game. That's all. That's all.
Yeah.
I think, you know, just
had to blow the game dead a little faster.
Yeah.
The social media went deep on those first 3 minutes. And then the next
good to talk about.
No, I know, but it was like, really? And then the next post was, and we lost. Goodbye.
Well, do we want to start this whole group therapy session by talking about the lineups and the seismic differences? I think it might be worth talking about that.
Sure. Yeah, the lineups, let's see. You know, once again, Blake's still out, so Semla was in net. Elliott was out, I think, for was it I don't think it
red card.
Yeah, it was red card or yellow card accumulation, or did he get a red?
No,
card?
it was that full red card. Yeah,
okay.
He got last time.
So it was, and then Lowe was out, I think, for he's away. He's on international duty. So they decided to put Nathan Harriel in the middle with Jacob Glesnes, and I was hopeful that was going to work. And then it was Mbaizo out right and Wagner out left, like usual.
Mm-hmm.
Flock ahead of them is at the bottom of the diamond.
And he was in that Martinez slot there. Because
Martinez also international
duty.
Yep. And then Bedoya out right, McGlynn out left, Raffanello at the top of the diamond.
His first start.
Yeah.
So there's one little bright spot, I guess.
In the Gazdag position, or as the
and Sullivan up top.
Yeah.
Players playing in familiar spots, obviously. Without Carranza because of the rumored, not yet fully confirmed transfer that he's expected to get to Feyenoord.
Yes.
So I guess he's done playing for the Union at this point.
Curtin all but said so at the post-game presser. I didn't know if you watched that, but he said he's not good. He didn't know what was official, but he wasn't playing for us anymore, unfortunately. That's more or less how he put it. I'm a little bit paraphrasing, but yeah.
I mean, I have to imagine if that's where we're at in terms of Carranza not playing, this deal has to be all but signed, I would imagine, right? I mean,
yeah.
He was in the stadium.
Yeah.
With the folks who were on the injured list or red card list. So basically Elliott and Blake. But that, I guess he's still around, but he hasn't left yet, but that's about it.
And then of course, Miami was out with no Messi, no Suarez. And who cares? I don't know. Jordi Alba was still in, and I don't know. I just feel like he's going to forever haunt me and my Union experience.
But this game started off hot, like you said, 3 minutes. Yeah. Union got the first goal. That was a brilliant pass by Jacob Glesnes.
It really was.
He found a way through the entire midfield into an open space for Ora to run on it. Ora touched it twice and then shot it past Calendar. And it looked like the Union were off to the races. It was really exciting, and I'm sure it was loud down there in the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, it was like the perfect Aura goal. I mean, this beautifully fed pass. He's just off to the races. He's got the defender beat. He could even just take like a half a breath to settle and get that shot off. It was great. It's like almost if they practiced it. But I did hear the faint echoes of Roger Bennett going, the curse of scoring too soon, and I just chose to ignore it at my own peril.
Yeah, and after that, though, I mean, even throughout this entire game, it never really felt like the Union were gelling totally, in my opinion. Like from what I remember, there were some passes, they were connecting occasionally, but there was just too much back passing, not enough attacking play. The only person that seemed to want to take anybody on one-on-one was Sullivan, but he rarely got on the ball since he was playing up top, kind of in that Carranza role. There was some overlaps, both from Wagner and from Mbaizo. And, having Bedoya out there on the pitch, I thought that he's usually pretty good about helping to generate some attack. But I don't know if it was lack of Gazdag, lack of Martinez. The Union just seemed a little toothless, generating consistent, dangerous pressure. And then it seemed like Miami didn't have any trouble getting it back down the other end of the field throughout the game.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, the first half, and I'm not going to jump up to the second half yet. The first half definitely felt like Union had a little bit more momentum out in the field, but there were these bad omens now that I'm reflecting back on it from this first half. And maybe I'm just trying to justify that this awful 2-1 loss. And this 2-1 loss kind of hurts more than other 2-1 losses for the fact that the Union even had a double man advantage. But I like to think that there's some sort of soccer pantheon of gods that have, rolled the bones, and the Union came up, lacking in that random chance. But like actually before Ora's goal, again, Glesnes, there's something off with him. He did that header back to Zemla like in the second minute, and it was not, I don't know if it was more Zemla was out of position or Glesnes just didn't get the read on Zemla, and the header was basically headed for goal, and Zemla had to backpedal a little bit to stop the ball, and it was no real danger. I mean, Zemla was going to stop it, but yeah, that was weird. There was that 33rd minute where Bedoya got that really, really, really nice header. It was like highlight reel header. It was kind of a cross from the right wing. There's a kind of a scrum of players there right by the 18. Bedoya got his head up, did a nice little flick of the head, and the ball just went wide, just went left of the goal. And the ref called it just out and a goal kick. And on replay, you could see Calendar did get a fingertip to it. But
Bedoya got a yellow card.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if he was mouthing off at the ref. I don't know what the story was.
I think that's what it was. Yeah. He could see he was standing with his hands behind his back.
Yeah.
Dissenting on some point. Yeah.
But my understanding with Bedoya, he was wearing the captain's armband.
He was.
Like you're given a little leeway in terms of your how do you want to say this? The level of diplomatic approach you want to take with the ref, and the fact that
we don't know how fruity the language was that he was using, though, and that's the problem.
Yeah,
nice what he was saying. Yes, so always.
Yeah,
but yeah. So that was my thought. Was that maybe he crossed the line in what he said because he looked frustrated from the jump.
Yeah.
But
so yeah, those were just some bad juju there in the first half.
I don't know. Here's the way I was looking at it. I thought, all things considered, they didn't look bad. I honestly didn't think
first half, I agree.
Well, I guess if we're not getting into the second half, I really, I didn't they didn't look as threatening or, dominant as I would have liked. But again, all things considered, and this is not me making excuses, but really, truly, this was one of the most splintered lineups that we've had in recent memory. So I think that all that considered, they looked good.
I do remember I'm pretty sure I remember that at the end of the first half, they talked about expected goals, and the Union were like just over 1 for the expected goals, and they kept Miami to something stupid like barely over 0. So I mean,
Our percentage was high too, at first. That projected win percentage.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Higher than I would have thought.
Yeah.
Right. So I was a little surprised to see that. But yeah.
Well,
so I'm stopping myself there in the interest of splitting this into 2 halves. But go ahead.
Well, before we move on to the second half, so I did make a note of the first half stats, and it was very, to your point, Christy. I think the stats supported the Union having a good showing, at least in the first half. Right, we outshot Miami 5-1. So we had 10 shots; they only had 2. We 2-1 on shots on goal. Now, in terms of possession, the commentators even mentioned is that Miami's basically playing the game that the Union prefer, and that is we only had 38% possession, which usually works for our benefit. So, yeah, on paper, it was definitely looking in our favor. And I agree. The first half, I thought we looked good. I am kind of retroactively trying to fit the narrative to match up with the dark cloud in my brain. But yeah, and I will say this. The first half was I think good for the Union. Probably throughout the whole game, I think Sullivan was definitely a shining spot on the field. I mean, the kid just hustled, and he hustled, and he hustled. Rafa was definitely out there, I thought, making his runs and really hustling as well. So I want to say something nice too here. So
yeah, I think the young guys did a good job. I even say McGlynn and Harriel showed fairly well. And Wagner's always dangerous up and down his side, although I felt like in this game he was a little demonstrative with his frustration.
Yes,
certainly on the field. Apparently, afterwards, he also had some caustic words to share.
Yeah, we definitely want to talk about that at some point.
There were a lot of chances, I think, in both halves. They just didn't come to anything. At the risk of talking about the second half.
Well, we can certainly get to it, but
yeah.
I would say that, this game obviously was a 2-1 loss. So once again, the Union were still able to score. It's not like they're not able to score. They are finding ways to put the ball in the other half of the net. But as we've talked about so far this season, the problem continues to be giving up goals and bad goals. And that's kind of where, while we scored 3 minutes into the first half, they scored 2 minutes into the second.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The takeoff and landing continues to be a problem.
Yeah, exactly. And also, this game had some records and moments that are not something to be proud of. And that was Gressel got that goal in the 47th minute. And guess what? That was his first goal of the season. So, yay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what went on in the locker room for Miami and during the half, but when that second half started, they were dialed up to 11. Miami was just coming out all guns. And, I got to imagine that the idea was let's get that goal back and get the field level and then make the Union fight for it for the rest of the game. And success to Miami on that one. Yeah, because Miami was totally coming out swinging.
Yeah, they have it reported as a Julian Gressel goal assisted by Kremeski, who is that young player that Gabe was talking about last week.
Right,
going real well, and he was certainly dangerous all night, and so yeah, moment of brilliance there from Gressel, gets him tied up, and looks like it's going to be another slugfest in Philly.
Yeah.
So 68th minute and 84th minute, we had 2 basically double yellow cards.
Yep.
Which of course result in red cards, which means we're down to a 9v11 game. Should go well for us, right?
I don't know if the people out there, you can't hear us shaking our heads as we're, I don't know. I got to get a sound effect for that.
I'm just sitting here kind of scratching my cheek in wonderment.
Yeah, that second yellow card on David Ruiz, that was a rough collision. I thought he had with Flock. It was definitely, I think, card worthy, no question asked, and it happened to be the second. And at that point, my little Union heart grew three times that day. And I'm like, cool, we got them now. They're down by 1. And then what was it? Would you say 84th minute?
Yes, sir.
When that second one comes out, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Especially that particular player, because he had been pushing Aviles. So I thought, well, that's good, right?
Yeah, this is the part in FIFA when the video game when you're just run the score up.
Because 10, we've said this many times, 10v11 can just energize a team too.
Yeah.
So, but 9, you think, okay, 9.
Now they've got to just be playing for a draw.
That's exactly what I thought too. Miami's just going to fall back. They're going to just try to ride this thing out.
And they did, except for one bad back pass one bad giveaway by McGlynn. Somehow or another springs 2 Miami players to attack Glesnes all alone in second half stoppage time. And the Union give up a second goal.
Again, in takeoff and landing time. So we're in stoppage. It was the 91st minute, I believe. No, that's when the substitution was.
Time is what I've got.
Yeah, no, I had the substitution time, but yeah, regardless.
Yeah.
And it was,
landing. It's killing us.
I don't know if I can really hold Glesnes blameless, but I almost wish he would have just fouled the first guy and
take him out.
Just take the card or whatever and get the team to reset. Because I mean, obviously, was part of why they got the breakaway was because the Union were so pushed up on the attack, trying to find that second goal, being up by 2 players, and in that left Glesnes all alone in the back. I don't know where Harriel or Mbaizo or Wagner were necessarily, but
Mbaizo was out by this point. Baribo was subbed in.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Did they shift to a 3-back at that point?
I think so. I think they were just trying to put everybody, push up, try to get that attack going.
And just they a counter and they get off. They make the break, and that was just awful. It was just beyond a gut punch.
Yeah,
beyond a gut punch.
I mean, there were a few moments there in the stoppage time, I think, too, where when Glesnes has the ball and once he crosses the half field mark, you hear the crowd start yelling, shoot. And he did twice. I mean, okay, the shots weren't on frame, but they were just slightly over, the top bar. But when he's launching some long range Glesnes shots and they're not producing, and it was this loss. I mean, I don't know what's worse. 2-1 when they're down by 2 guys, almost like just play with your full squad and just beat us 5-1. I don't know. I
that would almost feel less painful
than
what this was. Like, this is a loss that feels like 3 losses.
Well, I mean, that's what it is, right? Really, let's just boiling it down. We can talk about, they didn't do, they weren't as aggressive. They didn't do this or whatever, which it is all true. But really, it's 11v9. The fact that we started up and just gave it away in so many ways.
Yep.
That's really all there is to it. I mean, if we make it really, really simple, I mean, yes, I know there's more detail on that, but that's what it is. And there are asterisks everywhere. International break, injury, etc. But that's really what it is. Even with the squad we fielded,
Miami was witnessing the greatest of all time. All right, let's just put that aside. It doesn't matter. Miami literally was missing the greatest soccer player of all time.
Yeah.
You screamed so much that I actually could not understand you the first time. I was like, I know he's losing it. I didn't get it. So
I was so frustrated with this game that I have not yet watched the the post game press conference from Curtin, but there's nothing he could say that could justify what happened on that
No,
field.
and he didn't try to defend a thing.
I don't think he did.
I did watch
There's
it.
nothing that any of the players could say that could
No.
justify what happened on that field. Like, I don't care if, the union front office didn't bring in reinforcements that you wanted from the off season. I don't care if, the fans were predominantly Miami or Messi fans. It doesn't matter. You're up by 1. You're playing a decent first half. You then get, a red card in the second half after, they somehow or another, you give them a chance to get even early in the second, and then you get a red card and then a second red card, and you can't put it away.
Yeah.
Like, you're professionals. Like, this is on you. This has to be on the players.
Yeah.
We said it a couple of months back, a couple of weeks back or whatever, but yeah, fix it.
Fix it.
Fix it.
To his credit, as someone who did manage to watch today, the post-game presser, zero excuses were given. Zero. None.
Because
there was nothing. I know, but I'm just saying in case you're wondering.
Yeah.
So you don't have to necessarily watch it. Zero excuses were given. Here's basically like, yep, no, it was bad. I mean, I'm again paraphrasing. But yeah, that's all there was to.
But it's not enough to just admit that this was bad. There's got to be discussion about what's going to be done to make sure it doesn't continue.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there will be, but this was, 5 minutes after the final whistle, so I don't think there was much to say.
It needs to be shared with the fandom. Like, this is not acceptable. This should not be acceptable. I mean, the Union, the last 2 seasons had 1 loss at home. This year, what, 5, 6?
We now have, that's the other thing. We've, aside from Gressel getting his first goal of the season, and I think Alfonso, the guy who scored the second goal, was his first time playing for Miami. And I think I'll have to double check that. But I think it might have been one of his first time he came on the field and he gets a goal. And we now have set our record for most winless home streak. They keep talking like the last time we've lost this much was like years ago. I mean, I know things are cyclic, and I'm just frustrated.
Yeah, it's not enough to just admit that this isn't working. There's got to be a decision on what's going to be done to make sure it doesn't keep going.
I almost feel like the union, the players have to like go on public media and apologize and like write 100 times. We will not let Jordi Alba have a good day at Subaru Park 100 times.
Seriously.
Because that was the other thing, right? There was that yellow card in the second half where it was like at the 80th minute, 82nd minute, and it went to Jordi Alba. I'm like, haha, okay, good. Pyrrhic victory here. And then they called it back and gave it to Flock. I was like, this guy, he's killing me. Freaking Jordi Alba is killing me.
If it'll make you feel any better, according to the BBC box score, Jordi Alba got one too. So
okay, well, I'll live in that world. So
there you go.
Thank you, BBC.
BBC's on it for you.
Just mentioning Flock, I did think that he continued to show decently there in that defensive midfield spot because Busquets was kind of kept quiet.
100%.
Gressel and Kremovsky continued to do good things, but Busquets, he had a couple of passes, but a far less of a night because Flock was all over him anytime he got close to a ball.
Yeah, Busquets was definitely, I think, kept quiet in this game, which I was glad to see. I do want to point out that Busquets and the ref suspiciously look a lot alike. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Because there were a couple calls that I thought, well, to be fair, there were a couple calls.
There were a lot of calls on Miami.
Yeah, the handball off Glesnes in the first half that didn't get called. It was arguably his hand wasn't really far away from his torso, so I think that was kind of. But when you watch the replay,
no time to react.
Yeah, but that Bedoya's header, that calendar just deflected wide. It's obvious on the replay. He got a finger on it. There were a couple other things I made notes. I can't find them here, but anyway, I'm just gonna say that ref looked like could easily be a relative of Busquets. Just saying.
Well, Bedoya is now out
Yeah, 2 to 3
for
weeks.
2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, he picked up an injury in I believe they said it was prior to the game. Decided to try to play through it. Lasted 53 minutes. Excuse me. And couldn't do it anymore. So hopefully bounce back quickly because it is always helpful to have him in there.
Yeah. With this whole game, I was thinking about what Gabe said in last week's episode. We were asking what we thought about the Miami game. He's like, I hate to say this, but I don't think they're going to win.
Yeah, he called it a 2-1 loss for the Union.
Did he predict 2-1? I don't remember. But all I could think of was that, that animated GIF, whatever, of Cypher from the Matrix when she looks up at the camera and just goes, not like this, before she gets unplugged. Like, I imagine, like, poor Gabe was like, I called 2-1, but not like this.
Yeah.
That having chatted with him a bit today, yeah, that's pretty much exactly it.
Yeah.
Minus the Matrix reference, but
well,
yeah.
Yeah, his post too, right? The whole little preamble he gave, where it was all about like, I actually had written up something different, and in a matter of minutes,
right,
I got a scrap, and oh man,
yeah,
it's a dark day for the Union verse. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the worst days we've had since the battle days, or if not the worst day. So
it will be telling to see how Curtin adjusts. He obviously he's got what he's got as far as players to make changes. The games are not going to slow down. We've got to keep going until August when Leagues Cup starts. And so it's going to be, he's once again, Blake's out now. Bedoya's out. A bunch of players are still going to be missing for international duty.
Yeah.
He's going to have to make adjustments. He's going to have to find ways to get more out of what he's got. And it's a challenge for him. It's going to absolutely be a challenge for him, but he needs to find a way to do it.
We're obviously recording this before the midweek game against Cincinnati.
Correct.
Just for timing issues on our side. So we'll see. I hate that we have to go to Cincinnati in this condition. But it is what it is.
Looping into Cincinnati.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and in Cincinnati of all places, since they've been so strong. I mean, yeah. So we'll just have to see how that goes. I mean, I don't know that there's anything more we can say about this game, and it's been said. It's not already been said, truly. So it's bad, and it continues to be bad. And I did see a headline today, and I truly can't remember. Philadelphia Inquirer, some major Philadelphia news outlet or soccer related Philadelphia news outlet, basically saying the end of an era? ?
Yeah.
I mean, shock of all shocks, because I am probably the most negative person of the three of us. I'm still hopeful. I don't know that I don't think I honestly don't think this season's going to come to anything. I just want to say though, I do think that I'm not throwing in the towel yet. I think there's a lot of it was just such an embarrassing game and such a thing that felt like we should have won it. Excuse me. That there's obviously going to be a very upset and knee-jerk response, and I'm hopeful that we can come through it in a positive way, and it's energizing in some fashion. Something comes along that we can at least finish this whole thing strong. I know we have a lot to go yet in this season too. So I'm sorry, Paul, go ahead.
No, I was simply just making comment that there's 4 months left before the end of the season.
Yeah. No, I know that.
The fact that we are how many games have we played? 20, 19?
17, I think.
17.
We're about halfway through.
Yeah, he was calling it the midway point. So that was more just an opinion on my part. I'm not saying we can't mathematically, and especially with as they were even saying today, the very forgiving system for playoffs and whatnot. But yeah, we just don't look like a team that should be finishing anywhere near the top right now. I want to be wrong,
I hope they correct it. I hope they turn it around. I hope they find ways to make more with what they've got.
but I don't think this is the end of an era. I don't. That's the point I was making. I mean, I don't know that we're going to do it this season. I really don't. And that's a shame. But I don't think we're, back. I don't think we're back to 2010.
Yeah. Although I do know that Philly soccer page had an article called, with that title, End of an Era, but I don't know.
That might have been what I saw, right? Because I just saw it in passing. So,
although I will say on my notes, I did scribble down here, Dark Days Return, ? Well, I don't know. With respect to the end of the era, though, I don't know. I mean, Chris, I agree with you, and Paul, we're barely halfway through the season. There's still plenty of time to turn it around. We can, miraculously somehow we're still in 8th place. What's that saying? We just saying, right? We're failing up. The more we lose, the more we stay in 8th place. I don't know how this is possible, but I do wonder, like, the short term and the long term, right? Short term, what can be done? I don't know. Like, we got to get people back. We got to get people healed. There's some players I think that could be playing better, like Lesnes, and I'm not trying to throw shade on him. There's just, he's made some nervous making plays that he would never do in the past. And everyone's allowed to have a bad day, of course. And I'm not, I'm envisioning that one time bumping into Glesnes and we're like, wait a minute, what did you say about me on your podcast? I'm like, first, I'm just excited that you listen to my podcast. Second, I take back all the bad things I said.
I don't think that we've actually said anything bad.
No, I know, but I'm just worried about how his playing style, and I think it's just kind of more of that's the first one that comes to my mind because I just have come to just trust on his presence there in the back line. But short term, I don't know. Long term, like the end of the season, next season, I mean, when's Curtin's contract up? Right? Ali's contract, he's only got for this year. We're losing Carranza. So end of an era, I don't know, but I got to wonder next year at this time, we might have a significantly different looking team. And then depending on who's at the helm, what is that team? How's it doing? I don't know. It's kind of, I want the Hollywood storybook ending. Whenever Curtin's, contract is up, we're lifting that MLS Cup. Ali's lifting the MLS Cup, all that stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. Maybe that.
I think you guys are going to have to watch the replacements again. I think that's what's going to have to happen. Twice now.
I think that's 2 weeks now.
What's
Honestly,
up?
I might have to do that just to make myself feel better. It's like putting the copy of The Shining in the freezer. I'm just going to have to bust out.
They just need some heart
replacements. Yeah. So
yeah.
I don't know. Freaking Jordi Alba.
I like how it's still Jordi Alba's fault somehow.
I know. It's not about Messi, it's just Jordi Alba.
It's been Jordi Alba's fault since last August.
Since Leagues Cup last year. I'm like, that son of a.
Yeah, you never got over that.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's a great player and all that, but I just like painting
you don't even have
villain.
to say that. You don't even have to, you can not like the guy. It's fine.
Yeah. I think I'm a better soccer player than Jordi Alba. No, that's categorically false. Heck, he's probably a better human being than I am. Which you know what? I don't want to know. I can't handle that.
All right, let's stop talking about the game.
Yeah, let's.
We can look forward to the game against Cincinnati and then the game this weekend against Charlotte. Hopefully, at least the weather should be nice and maybe there'll be a good time at the stadium.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be super hot. Which is always fun. For the Saturday game at least. I don't know about Cincinnati. I assume the same. But I say that because we have the tickets this Saturday, so that should be nice and sweaty.
Make sure you reach out to Alyssa.
That's right.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, we have to actually get around to getting there on a reasonable time.
Yeah.
But yeah. So tomorrow as we record, as I mentioned, we're recording on Tuesday. We face off against the Union. I'm sorry. Hold on. Well, actually, we kind of probably do face off against the Union because we are probably in a battle with ourselves at this point, or the team is with themselves. But we face off against Cincinnati in Cincinnati. Woo, that's a
who
hard
is
thing
kind of the
say.
Union West. That's what I thought the reference you were making.
they're the Union of 2022 West. But yeah, so currently in second, Cincinnati currently in second place with a good record. I'm not sure. I don't have it in front of me fully, but and then Saturday, of course, as Paul mentioned, Union versus Charlotte at home. Charlotte currently in fifth place. So, yeah.
Fix it.
Nowhere but up.
Fix it.
Fix
Nowhere
it.
but up. Nowhere but up.
So what do you guys want to see happen in these next two games?
I think Paul just said it.
I mean, I still want to see the defense come back to where it should be.
Yep.
You know, it's they've got to find a way, even without some of, you know, hopefully Elliott will be back, but even without Lowe, they need to find a way to lock that down and get that solid, and then keep their scoring happening. It does, you know, we don't need the 7-0, 6-0 games, although I wouldn't mind one of those.
Yep.
But you know, we need some spark. We need some players that are going to fight. Like Christy said earlier, we need heart. We need to see it out in the field. We need to see, you know, not just people complaining that they didn't get the support, but that they're going to run out there and be like Bedoya and run through a wall for the team.
Yeah.
Do the dirty running that needs to be done to win these games, even when they're close. I think they're there. I mean, I do think these players, you know, they've played this game for a very, very, very long time in their lives, and they know what it takes to win. Now they just have to go do it, and hopefully they'll do it. It's going to be hard.
And I think they have to figure out how to do it together in this altered state, because I think they are used to certain formations that aren't happening right now. I know they should be adaptable. I know they're professionals. I know all that, but you know, Curtin does tend to do things a certain way. As you say, Paul, he always does his subs at a certain time, and you know, that kind of thing. And I hope that until we can get back to something closer to a normal lineup, sadly without Carranza, we can get to a place where they know how to play with each other. Which may be tough, because I think there'll be changes and substitutions as we go, but hopefully they can figure it out in practice and off the main stage, if you will.
I'm going to try to put a positive on this,
Please,
because I got nothing otherwise. It feels like whatever we've been doing hasn't been working. I don't know, and we are missing a lot of our starters. We're missing a lot of our kind of our usuals, and you know what? Yeah, shake it up. Whatever, new guys, new lineups, just anything. At least make it entertaining. You know, almost rather like the scene in I'm gonna go there in The Replacements when
Sweet Jesus,
Falco at the final game, and he comes back on the field and they pull off the actual veteran quarterback, and they bring on Falco, and they're getting all pushed around by Dallas. And so the very first play they do is everyone fouls everybody else. And as Madden says, a good old fashioned melee. Whatever the equivalent like that would be in terms of our gameplay. If you just need to just go in there and just make a melee of things, but it's like we see the fight and we see the heart and we see that team unity, I'll take whatever score you got. I just want to see the Union play like the Union, regardless of the score. If it happens to be a win, that's a bonus. But yeah,
that reminds me. A bunch of years back, the Flyers were in the playoffs, and I don't even remember what team it was they were playing, but they were down. I think they were down in the second or third game. They lost the first. They were down like 0-2 in the series or something like that, and they were losing whatever game they were playing. And at one point in the second or third period, literally every single Flyers player just dropped their gloves and charged a player on the other team, and it was a full-on brawl. I mean, to the point where like the referees were just standing off to the side watching. The goalies at either end just had their arms over the crossbars on their goal, drinking whatever was there. But what it did is it reinvigorated the team. I don't think they ended up winning that series, but they at least got two. You know, they made it a competition.
Yeah.
And you know, it would be good to see some sparks, some fire.
100%.
And you know, you can't always control things beyond your abilities. Like, you know, as a player, you can't control who else is on the field with you. But if you get an opportunity to step on that field to play the game the game that you love, that you've played for, you know, played your entire life, go out there and play. Remember that this is fun. Go, you know, play for the guy next to you, play for the guy in front of you, play for the guy behind you, play for those around you. Make it happen. And just remind us that you guys like to play this game and that we like to watch it when you guys enjoy this game. So please have fun so we can have fun watching you.
And don't necessarily go out and fight everybody. Wait till after the game.
No. I said a well-timed kick to the back of the leg while the ref's not looking. You know, whatever.
Whatever you need to do.
Because obviously they don't review VAR. So
Curtin has said in like the little pregame speeches that they sometimes show that they play best when they're having fun. And they haven't been having fun. And, you know, honestly, like I know Philadelphia fans let you know when you mess up, and we like that and blah, blah, blah. But it comes a point where it's just wearing. And I'm not saying that we're responsible. Nobody's responsible for what happened, but the team and the coach, right? But I just think that, you know, maybe these kinds of things aren't helping. So let's, like you say, let's hope that they can remember how to have fun and enjoy it and do what they do well and take the pressure off, shake it off. Because I mean, as much as we want them to fix it, really, they also have to shake it off, and that's a huge order after we have just ourselves spent whatever period of time. I don't have the clock in front of me, but you know, kind of cutting them down. So after all that, after our little personal exorcism, I think you're right that they do have to figure out how to get back to it.
It's not the same game, obviously, but this kind of reminds me a little bit of the slump that Trey Turner was in last year. We talked about this before, that the Phillies shortstop Trey Turner was in a long slump. Fans were getting on him and letting him know that they were unhappy. And then there was a couple of social media posts that encouraged the fans that instead of getting on him, cheer for him a little, give him that. And so the fans started giving him a standing ovation every time he came to the plate. And that energized him. That kind of got him recentered, and he went on a tear at the end of last season. So if there is something that we as fans can do that can help lift the Union players, let it be known. Tell us what we can do. We will do it. We will back you up. We just want you to remember that we're here. We're here to have fun. We're here to watch you have fun. And that's what we want overall. And we know you can do it. Just please help us help you.
Trademark.
Help us help you in all ways this week.
Yeah, Paul, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I mean,
we don't want to pile on. Yeah. We don't want to be upset. We don't want to be Negadelphia. We want to be a part of a winning team.
Right.
We want to have fun.
Yeah.
Union fans just want to have fun.
Oh boy.
That should be a song.
All right, let's move on. I know this has gone on.
Well, I think we were starting to, and then we got sucked back in somehow. So, so we've got 2 games, guys. So hopefully that goes well.
Hopefully
that goes well. In other sort of fun news, Andrew Rick and David Vasquez graduated from high school. God bless them. They got
graduates.
Their little senior pictures taken on the pitch, which was kind of amazing. I enjoyed that. And appropriately blue cap and gown. I'm not sure. Are they? I probably should know this, and I don't. But are they both academy players? Or okay, it was unclear. Just the way the photos were taken, it looked like one was and one was not. But okay, so that explains the blue.
Check it, but I'm pretty sure that.
I wasn't sure about Andrew Rick because but just the way the pit photos were taken. But yeah, so congratulations, guys. I can't imagine that life. That life is so very far from me graduating high school.
I guess it's hard to do senior cut day when you're one of two seniors.
Yeah, it's just mind-boggling, but congratulations to them. You might very well be our future guys, so keep it up. Yeah, and I honestly kind of think that's it for this week. As far as news, I don't know if you guys want to touch on anything else that isn't in our
Just talking about the
notes.
future, it looks like the Union teams at MLS Next Cup are doing well. The 16 and the 17.
Yes,
that's good.
I did see that.
I don't know if that was to the quarterfinals, semifinals, finals, whatever.
Yeah, I honestly haven't really been following that, but you're right. I did see some news about them doing rather well, so that's also good news.
I will say that Wawa is currently running a special coffee flavor. It's the salted toffee caramel something. So I'll throw that one out there. Worth checking out.
In our continued bid to get Wawa to sponsor either the team or us.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Because we do stop after every game at Wawa. So just saying. Should we bring IKEA into the mix since we also eat there before many games?
Yeah.
But yeah. Pro tip, guys. If you need a meal before the game, IKEA is a good way to go if you like a meatball. Just saying.
And you're heading down if you're driving past near any sort of IKEA, because there's one in Philly as well as the one out this way towards Canada.
Yeah, and we don't technically drive past it. We go ever so slightly out of the way to get there, but close enough. Yeah. So I kind of think that's it for this week, guys, unless you have anything else.
No, let's land this plane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Let's do it. Our website is amorephillyunion.com. You can email us with your thoughts on, as Paul so eloquently says, fixing it at pod@amorephillyunion.com. On Twitter, we are amorephillyu, and Instagram, YouTube, and Threads, amorephillyunion. We have our ever-expanding Spotify playlist, so check that out. Also under amorephillyunion, but important distinction with musical notes, so don't be fooled. And you can get our podcast wherever you get yours. So we are everywhere.
Yep.
If we're not, let us know. And thank you for everyone. I'm sorry. Thank you to everyone for tuning in for another episode of Amorephillyunion. We are your hosts. I'm C.
I'm E.
And I'm Paul.
Go Union.
Hashtag fix it.
And there it is.
There it is.
There it is. Hey, we did it. Hey, we did it, guys.
That was definitely a podcast.
We made maybe not a silk purse out of a sow's ear, but
how big is a sow's ear that you can make a purse out of it?
It's big enough. Oh, you could do it. We change purse.
Okay.
You could do it. Yeah.
You have experience with this that I don't know about?